Hello again to this video clip series, my journey to God in a very secularized world. We started last time, you could find it printed in an article called Courage in This Great Final Battle. And we're dealing with a big conflict in the Marian movement of priests that Don Stefano Gobi died. He died in June 2011, and so there began more and more of a division after his death. There were those who wanted to get in charge and control and so on, and there were those that said, "Okay, what does Our Lady want? What did Don Stefano Gobi, the founder, say?" And in fact, we had finished in the last video clip that Father Quartillo, he asked in a meditation there in June in 2016, more than 200 priests, more than 10 bishops and so on, you know, what would Don Stefano Gobi want in this situation? Because in this situation there were those who were the few were opening their eyes at what's really going on in the church, and the great majority wanted to close their eyes because it was easier, more convenient, and I could maintain everything that I wanted to maintain. And so we had left off when Padre Quartillo asked every priest present at these, he gave this first meditation in 2016, June. We finished last time when he asked all the priests and bishops present, he says, would Don Stefano remain silent in this situation in the church today? Would he make known these messages that speak to us about the church's situation today at the mercy mercy to the forces of evil? So he's asking them, you know, because the majority want to take the easy way. So now we'll continue here, and he continued talking about what would Don Stefano Gobi say. He said, in particular, as consecrated priests to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, as members of the Marian movement of priests, what would Don Stefano Gobi have said about the second commitment, how to be faithful to the Pope? What would he have said in this situation? This is 2016, June. And so he continues to talk. He says, which magisterium to promulgate? That of the church or that which is new, at the expense of the true? I remember that Don Stefano, he continues, I'm reading the meditation of Padre Quartillo. He says, I remember that Don Stefano was not afraid to condemn and to say that it was wrong to have the ecumenical gathering in Assisi at the Basilica of St. Francis, and he openly declared that it was a desecration. Today there are so many souls harmed. The truth is shredded every day, and in this way one destroys the church. Do you remember the vision of the Blessed Emmerich that Don Stefano often quoted, who saw two bishops, cardinals, and priests demolishing St. Peter? Not so long ago, the theologian and philosopher Robert Spayman, who collaborated with Pope St. John Paul II and Pope Benedict II, he said, today it is a sacred duty for love of souls who are confronted with errors that destroy the faith with real errors, to react and to resist in every way is more than a duty. And Padre Quartillo continues, says, I have been reading the Blue Book since 1976, when Our Lady introduced me to the movement, and I had never noticed certain messages. When Don Stefano, the week before being hospitalized with a heart attack that brought him to heaven, told us to open up the Blue Book, and he commented on the message that I cited above of 1975, which you read in the last video clip. I have reread it several times, not only after his death, but especially now in these times, as well as indeed many other messages. And I noticed things that I never noticed before. which now, for me, are like the compass for these times. For these end times in which we are living, in the greatest subversion of the truth and the apostasy that has spread even to the summits of the church, and thus has darkened and wounded, stricken and betrayed the church. Upon this church, and then here he quotes a message of Our Lady in the Blue Book, which is the message to Gobi. Upon this church, darkened and wounded, stricken and betrayed, I am causing the rays of love and of light from my immaculate heart to come down, when there will have entered into her the man of iniquity, who will bring to fulfillment the abomination of desolation, which will reach its climax in the horrible sacrilege, as the great apostasy will have spread everywhere. Then my immaculate heart will gather together the little faithful remnant, which in suffering, in prayer, and in hope will await the return of my Son Jesus in glory. For this reason, I urge you today to look to the great light which has spread out from Fatima over the events of this your country, your century, and which is becoming particularly strong in these last times. Mine is an apocalyptic message, because you are in the heart of that which has been announced to you in the last and so very important book of sacred scripture. I entrust to the angels of light of my immaculate heart the task of bringing you to an understanding of these events, now that I have opened the sealed book for you. That was a message of May 13th, 1994. And then another message he quotes from the Blue Book from Our Lady. She writes, why am I still weeping? I am weeping because humanity is not accepting my motherly invitation. I am weeping because the church is continuing along the road of division, of loss of the true faith, of apostasy. Even now, that which I predicted at Fatima, and that which I have revealed here in the third message, confided to a little daughter of mine, is in the process of being accomplished. And so even for the church, the moment of its great trial has come, because the man of iniquity will establish himself within it, and the abomination of desolation will enter into the holy temple of God. This is a message September 15th, 1987. And so Father Cortilio, he continues to talk. He says, I ask a question to myself, and I want to make one also to you. Is it true or is it not true that some are scandalized by hearing these messages that with great clarity warn us that these are the times of Fatima? He's asking us. And then he quotes another message from the Blue Book. In the Blue Book, Our Lady tells us, I have caused to spring up here for 25 years now my married movement of priests, so that the message of Fatima, often contested and rejected by many, might in your days come to its complete fulfillment. Its fulfillment is necessary for you, my children, threatened and stricken, so that you may attain salvation. Its fulfillment is necessary for the church, so wounded and crucified, so that from its painful and bloody trial it might emerge all beautiful, without spot or wrinkle, in imitation of its heavenly mother. It is the message of Fatima which is being fulfilled in your pledge of love and of unity with the Pope and with the Church united to him. Here I have predicted and have shown in a vision to the little children to whom I appeared, the sufferings, the oppositions, and the bloody trials of the Pope. These prophecies of mine are being fulfilled above all in this Pope of mine, John Paul II, who is the masterpiece formed in my immaculate heart. That was a message of May 8, 1997. And then Father Cortilli continues. He says, I was with Don Stefano the evening when Pope Benedict XVI was elected. I remember very well that Don Stefano said that Our Lady had shortened a few years the great trials thanks to Pope Benedict. after the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI, it is useless for us to hide it. There has been produced a split in the Church, and maybe even in the Marian movement of priests, between those in favor and those opposed. He says, we'll stop right here. We'll continue in the next video clip. May God bless you and Mary guide you.